Hey, I'm Adam,
I'm Felix.
and we are here in Vienna, Austria. We just got done with a week of filming, and we're going to dive into the book club, but it'll be a bit different because we're sitting together as opposed to through Zoom. So let's dive right in. We're at chapter 3.
Exactly. Chapter 3 has the title, What Does the Public Really Want? And for the first time after chapter 1 and 2, Fitzkee dived into the idea of value.
An important topic, a little bit outdated, but we can definitely speed it up to today's age and sort of grasp what he's trying to say.
Well, in a nutshell, he's putting meaning into the old phrase, put your money where your mouth is.
Fitzkee draws a lot of reference to the cinema, right? Cinemas have huge budgets to entertain the population. So let's say a movie ticket is $20. Is your show as of the same value of that $20 that the person would spend? Well, we don't have multi-billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar movie productions, so we really have to focus on what's the main topic he drives home, what makes something good and entertaining.
Simply put, he sums it up in this chapter with drama.
Drama, right? So having enough drama in your show, you go to a good movie, read a good book, it's filled with drama, ups and downs. You have the hero, they have a challenge, they overcome the challenge. Is your show just a string of tricks that we're putting together? And now for my next trick, and now for my next trick. And are you just saying the presentation that came with it? Are you adding any sort of drama into your show or your singular effects? Movies take months and years to develop to make sure the drama is there as it needs to be. And I think what he's stressing mainly in this chapter is that if we expect people to give us their hard-earned money for our show, we better be filling that show with drama, so it's an entertaining roller coaster for them.
Exactly, and especially when it comes down to Hollywood movies, they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves, like music, lighting, and all the other good things you would see in cinematography.
And some magicians don't use music. Some magicians don't care about their lighting. They might just show up at an event and take whatever stage is given to them with a little bit of care and thought on the lighting. How can that lighting affect my presentation to add more drama? How can some music add more drama? All these things the movies have known for years, and he's just really stressing the fact that if someone can go to a cinema for this much, why would they pay that much or more to come to your show? And at least to think about that when you're designing your show.
Exactly. I mean, there are a lot of examples which could be competitive options for a magic show. You're talking cinema, you're talking theater, you're talking a good meal at a restaurant, or going to a rock concert, or what your favorite kind of music ever is. So there are plenty of options out there. And the money or the tickets sold to spectators are basically a good level of barometer for you, how well received and how entertaining your show is.
Yep. And in today's world, Netflix has the best movies in the world. So if we're trying to get people off their couch and into the real world, pandemic aside, obviously times are weird right now, but this won't last forever. Put that aside, to get someone either, hey, I want my girlfriend to come over and we'll have a Netflix night, or hey, I'm gonna take my girlfriend out to a magic show. What is it that's going to make them feel like that was a good decision? Because it would have cost them nothing to stay at home. And with that said, this is very much about thinking in the lines of having a theater show that people would come pay a ticket for. If you're an entertainer where somebody books you, say, for a corporate event or a family party, it's the same thing. Instead of all of the audience spending their hard-earned money, one of those people or that corporation is spending their hard-earned money. So just instead of saying a movie, because you're not gonna, let's say, do a corporate event where they would either have a movie playing or an entertainer, but they could have multiple different entertainers. They could have a comedian, they could have a music act. So what is it that makes your show better than theirs, right? He's really stressing the idea of people are paying for this service. So how are you making sure that it's worth the value that we're charging for it? And I think he just keeps, putting an exclamation point on the idea of drama and the fact that a lot of magicians don't pay attention to drama in their show. So in turn, it's not fair for us to charge the same amount that a movie would or another entertaining act that focuses on drama and actually has it built into their show.
Exactly. I mean, one counter argument could be stand-up comedians, because stand-up comedians enter the stage with a microphone and a great story and basically own the whole room.
Yep. And that's, a lot of times, at least in my area, you could get a stand-up comedian who's good for $500 to $1,000 less than I would charge or other corporate entertainers might charge. So what is it? I show up with a suitcase and some tricks. I better have some drama and some meaning behind those tricks if I'm going to make that value or the perceived value resonate with them. So the question is, how do we add drama into our show, right? There are a few easy answers, but we go much more into detail in some future chapters. We'll also have a designated video on building drama. But the simple things we mentioned before, look at your lighting, look at the storyline, the through line of your show. Is there conflict and resolution? Look at your sound. Are you using sound? Do you have any audio cues? And if not, how could you incorporate those into your show to add more drama? A lot of these things are simple. They used to be much more challenging, like adding sound cues to your show used to be a huge ordeal. You usually had to have a team help you. And in today's world, you can get a module that you have a remote control in your pocket, you queue up all the songs you want. And it, of course, is a learning curve and a small investment. But that small investment and that small learning curve will pay dividends in your future shows, especially if you want repeat bookings or if you want someone in the audience to not just see you as a magician, but to feel you as a magician and then say, man, that was moving. I'm going to hire this person for my next show or for my next event.
Absolutely. And these little details make a ton of difference when it comes down to how the show is perceived. No matter if it's a keynote or if it's a magic show, a theater piece or whatever. So when you want to sum those up, what are they again? They're music, they're lighting, they're the story you tell.
Costume and story will go in with costume and character and that all tying together. But if I had to sum it up in a handful of things, story, meaning costume, character, and all of that making sense, being coherent together. Your lighting, is there a way that, and a lot of times you won't be able to. The last few shows I've done, there's no way I would have been able to adjust the lighting because the venues didn't supply, this is maybe it's somebody's living room, things of that nature. But lighting can play a massive role in the drama of your show. Music, so any sound whatsoever, even sound effects, right? If you're doing a spooky trick and you have a cool sound effect, that's gonna add a lot of drama, especially if you don't use much audio and then all of a sudden out of nowhere there's a ghostly noise or something. Maybe you're doing a seance piece.
Or even nothing. A great trick in horror movies is that you hear ambience noise, like room noise or low-key music, but then right before the jump scare, all the individual sounds are completely drawn out of the picture, and immediately you start to feel unease.
Yep. So, that little trick alone could add massive drama to your show. So, lighting, sound, costume, character, all of it fitting together, and a through storyline that has some sort of conflict and resolution. And just I think this chapter is about beginning to think about those things. And I know when I started diving heavily into the idea of performance and the theory of performance instead of just the tricks, it was extremely frightening. I'll say this, you don't have to knock all these things off at once. You slowly start implementing one or two of them and your show will grow in time. If you've never developed a show, awesome. You're at a starting point where before I start developing the show, maybe I can think about these things as I'm doing so. So don't get overwhelmed with this stuff. Just start picking these things off. I think this chapter 3, is really just about to plant the seed, is just about planting that seed so we can start thinking about it. And we're going to dive pretty deep into exactly what it does take to build drama and especially into a magic act.
A small tip from my end, from the corporate world of giving keynotes, I started to use my PowerPoint presentations in a way that I had per slide a specific music track. This music track was extremely low volume, so it was not prevalent. But the moment I used background music, people received my message differently. And it was so much easier for me to draw them into my presentation and to follow my words. And this is just one thing, because a PowerPoint presentation is like a business card, a backdrop, right? You can have your logo on there, you can have a message on there or whatever, and just keep it. And with the push of a button, like a wireless mouse or something on your Apple Watch, you can choose music tracks.
Yeah.
All you need is a laptop, and think through trick by trick what backdrop you would love to have, and then you can add the music right away. And you don't need a lot of people to control this. This is just back and forth on a mouse or on whatever presenter you have.
And you don't have to start with a fully scripted music show. Start with one of the pieces in your show that you like and add music to that and grow off of that. Again, these are all things that you do in increments. And if you're building out an entire show from scratch, great. Then you can start putting everything in place. But if you have an existing show and you're overwhelmed by saying, I don't want to think about all this stuff, put one soundtrack to one song and see how it plays. There's a million excuses that can be made, and I was a victim of that for many years. Well, I perform in a lot of houses and they don't have sound systems. Bring your own sound system, right? There's always some sort of solution. So as a magician who shows up for a holiday party where they want you to do 20 minutes of stand-up in their living room, you can show up and just do it, or you could show up with a little sound box and you could add the music to it. And I promise you, it is a much, much better show. It's like Felix said, you'll see the audience come on board so much faster. And you know, a lot of times what you'll need to say in a sentence or two to get them hooked, you can do with just the click of a button by starting the song, right?
And it's all about this subliminal cues, right? Even if the music is not tailored to a specific effect, it will set the mood of the overall piece, of the overall presentation you do. And it's so much easier if you, for example, I think if you go for a character and you have a music theme which fits your character or your costume, the people will so much easier will be willing to suspend their disbelief and follow your presentation than if you just walk on stage in a Victorian 1900s outfit or something like that.
Yep, 100%. And even I've run into a lot of times where you end a routine and they don't know it's the end of the routine. Say you have a multiple climax routine and you've gone to climax 2 and now you're on the 3rd climax and they're not sure if it's over, so they don't clap. Well, just fading a song to mute lets them know, oh, the song's over, it's the end of the routine. Or building it to a crescendo and then bang, the minute it hits, you do a moment of magic and then the music's done. They know then the effect is over. So it's a very versatile tool to use music. And again, if it's overwhelming, start with one. Start with one of your favorite tricks that maybe isn't connecting the way you want it to, and add some music to it and see if that helps. It's also a mental cue for you, right? You know, shit, this is this part of the song. That means I'm running a little behind in my moves or my choreography. So music is a massive one that's easy to implement. You'll have to invest a little bit. Maybe we can find some links on some of the things that I suggest using. Gorilla Ape is one of them, but there's a few things that you can use for audio cues. And if we don't have the links under this video, it's because we're going to do a whole video on that in the near future. Actually, that's probably what we'll do. So you can actually see all the audio equipment I use. I got it all on the cheap. I think my whole audio setup cost me under $500, and that's speaker and all. And this speaker can play for up to 200 people. So we'll do a separate video on that. But this really, chapter 3, his whole point is you need to make your show worth its value. There's a lot of options out there. We as magicians need to do everything we can to compete with those other options. That's big cinema, that's comedians, right? That's a music band, a juggling act. Whoever may be in the same venue you may be, you have to make sure your show is filled with that same amount of drama. And I think, you know, again, when I first read this, it was scary and daunting, but then I think a lot of the times I get scared about things that I know I need to improve because I don't know how to do it, right? Yeah. Or if you go on stage unprepared for a keynote, of course you're nervous because you're not prepared. It's the lack of knowledge. And the nice thing about Fitzkee and the way he writes is that he kind of scares the shit out of you early, and then he gives you the tools in the following chapters. So the fear will slowly subside, and then you just chip one thing off at a time. And by the end of it, you've restructured your show and you won't even recognize it from where it started. So,
I mean, a great way to go into this is to just pull up a performance of your favorite performer. Let's go, for example, Darren Brown is a master of theater in the theater. Take a notepad and just trust your senses, at least the visual and the auditive senses you got. So look through a specific piece in the performance and write down if you see lighting changes, how his posture changes, how his mimic changes, the way he's delivering his
presentation,
Yeah,
speech.
right.
Whatever.
Thank you very much. If you speed it up or if it just brings it down, volume and voice, and then music cues, like we discussed earlier.
That's a great exercise. Watch a show, or not even a show, take a routine, one full routine from your favorite performer, and see everything that isn't magic and watch what it is. Body movement, lighting change, music cue, how he's getting in and out of prop management. Eliminate the magic. Forget the magic, forget the presentation of what he's saying or her, but whatever that performer is doing, just watch how they're doing it, not so much what they're saying. Are their voices going up? Are they pausing for a minute? And just jot those notes down, right? Normally, if it's good, you don't notice it. You don't go to the movie and notice all the special effects stuff as far as the back end of it and what makes it work. You're just along for the ride. So I like that exercise. That's something I'll probably do. Find a great performer on stage, watch one of their pieces, one of their effects, or one of their comedy bits. Comedians, not so much. I have seen comedians use lighting and music well, but it's not as much as, say, a Darren Brown piece or something like that. So find a stage performer and write notes on exactly what they do theatrically to add drama. Are the lightings changing? Are the lights changing? Are the music cues changing? Is his voice or her voice going up and down? I think that's a cool exercise. I'm going to try that myself.
Yeah, and make it easy on you and isolate as much as possible. So if you're going for audio cues or music, close your eyes and just listen. Listen carefully with good headphones on, and you will see what's happening subconsciously.
Cool. Well, I think that sums up chapter 3. We're whetting our appetite to say, okay, I know I need to instill drama in my show. How do I do that? And we're going to dive into that in future chapters. So as always, we're not monetizing any of these videos. If you take something from it and you want to support us, just go to vulpinecreations.com, and that's how you can support us. We've got some really cool stuff coming out over the next couple months. So please do stay tuned. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.